Don't wait on anyone, man. Whatever you want to do in life, stop waiting on people before you actually do it. If you want to go to the movie theater to watch a movie, like whatever, if you're a fan of Marvel or something, you want to watch a Marvel movie that just came out, and people are, you're waiting on people to make the plan, if they're gonna follow through with it, your buddies, and you're waiting and waiting, and then at the last minute they say that they're busy, or they have other plans, or they can't make it. Bro, just go watch that movie. If you want to go to that restaurant that you discovered on Google, right? But you're waiting on your friends to reply, you're waiting on, your coworkers to say, yeah, let's plan a day where we can go. And then, a lot of the time people cancel, and then you get disappointed. But you know what? Just go to that restaurant that you always wanted to visit. You want to go travel, you want to visit a country, but you're waiting on your friends again. You made a group on WhatsApp or whatever. You made the itinerary, you made the plans, you made a list of things that you should bring, a list of the sightseeing spots that we would go visit. You're so excited because you're gonna go with your friends. You're looking forward to this trip. You planned it for weeks. You may have been planning it for months. And you're waiting on the get-go. You're waiting on everyone to, accept that they're gonna go. You're waiting for them to purchase their tickets, their flight tickets, the hotels and all that. But then at the last minute, they flop out. And then you're left with disappointment. You're left with, oh man, that sucks. It's bullshit. Bro, just go. Go on that trip, man. Because a lot of the times we miss out on amazing adventure and amazing opportunities because we're always waiting on someone. We're always waiting for someone to, go with us. But that doesn't always need to be the case all the time. You can still have fun by yourself, and the only way you realize that is if you go on your own. I've had some of the best adventures traveling by myself. I've lived in like 2 or 3 countries in my life, and I lived solo. I lived alone. I've done solo traveling in many countries as well, by myself for vacation. And I've had the best times of my life. I met amazing people. I had great experiences. I was able to make better quicker decisions. I was able to leave whenever I felt tired or I didn't feel like the vibe was good. I had my own adventures. Whenever I went to the movie theater to watch a movie by myself, I really enjoyed it. Despite the little bit of the awkwardness that you get at the beginning, because you're not used to going to these social places where you're meant to be going with people by yourself. When I go to a restaurant by myself, it's a little awkward at first as well. But I'm still enjoying myself. I'm still enjoying the food that I'm eating. I'm still enjoying the ambiance, right? And then I have an experience to talk about. So if my friends or whoever flopped decided to go back to that place again, at least you are experienced about that place. You have a bit of knowledge about that place. You can recommend them the best types of foods to eat. You can recommend to them the best sightseeing spots in some country that you visited by yourself. You have wisdom, you gain experience, you gain knowledge that you can share with others because you did it on your own. You didn't wait on anyone. And I can't tell you, man, how many times I've been disappointed in my life, or how many times I've been frustrated with my friends and the people around me because they didn't go with me to somewhere, and I felt really frustrated. But the thing is, the problem wasn't them, the problem was me. The problem was I was too afraid to go out by myself and explore the world alone. I live in a foreign country right now. I don't live in the Western world. And I'm living in an area where it's predominantly locals, and the foreigners are a minority. I rarely see any foreigners here other than myself. So a lot of the times I'm doing things on my own, but at the same time I'm gaining wisdom, I'm gaining knowledge, I'm going out on my own. Yes, it's tough sometimes to wake up and give yourself self-motivation and the energy to go out somewhere and explore a new place. It's hard sometimes compared to being with someone who you can motivate each other and you can have better experience. Well, you can share your experiences with the other person or your friends when you go out somewhere. But when you're alone and you do these things by yourself, you gain confidence in yourself. You gain a mental resilience. You gain inner strength. You gain a higher self-esteem when you do these things by yourself. And I highly encourage you to go to whatever place you wanted to visit, whatever restaurant you wanted to check out, whatever a hobby you wanted to try, whether it's archery tag or whether you wanted to go paintballing. I guarantee you that you will still have a great time and you will learn so much about yourself if you go by yourself. You don't always need people to go with you to have a good time. Sometimes when you go with people to certain events, they may actually bring down the vibe. You may have problems with them. They may cause problems with others. If you go clubbing, that is usually a place where you would technically go with people, right? You would go with groups, you would go with your friends, you would go with people. But sometimes when you go with a group, maybe they would cause problems with each other. Maybe they would start fights with other random people. Or maybe they would end up just doing their own thing. They may find someone at the club and, or whatever. But if you were to go by yourself, you are mitigating all those risks. You are mitigating all those potential problems that could arise. Because when you go by yourself, in a way, you're vulnerable. Right? You're vulnerable because you're not surrounded by others, and people see you as more approachable as a person because you're by yourself. So when you go to these social settings, you may make new friends. You may have better opportunities to make new friends when you do things by yourself. When you go to these new areas, these new places by yourself. I've noticed that a lot. People start talking to me. People start asking me where I'm from. They're curious because you are not following the social stigma of being with people all the time, being in groups, going out with friends. They have this curiosity about you. They have this wonder in your head about what does this guy have? Like, why is this guy by himself? Why does this guy have the strength to go out to a restaurant, a fancy restaurant by himself, where there's all couples that are there, and you're the only person sitting there having a nice AAA steak by yourself? People sense that aura about you. People sense the energy that you bring. And they're curious about it when they see you by yourself. I've also noticed that when I travel and when I go out, when I go to new towns or new cities or new places, when I'm by myself, people talk to me. They're more inclined to talk to me. Because they think I'm more of a genuine person because I'm by myself. I just seem nicer and more humble. It's in a weird way because I'm by myself. If that makes any sense. But if I was with a group of people and we're traveling, chances are people would not really try to approach you unless there's another group that they're in. Then that group would interact with your group. But very, very rarely would there be like one person and you're in a group and that one person or two people would try to approach you, because number one, it seems kind of intimidating because there's so many people that they have to interact with, right? And two, they're under the assumption that you already have plans because you're in a group with people. You already have your own itinerary, so what's the point? But when you're by yourself, you open up yourself to new adventures. You open up yourself to going off the beaten path, You're opening up yourself for new secret hidden gems or new adventures, new interactions with people that you wouldn't normally get when you're in a group, when you go out with friends. And not only that, you also learn a lot more things when you're by yourself. When you're independent, when you go out to places by yourself, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about what things you like. You learn about what things you don't like. You learn about what things piss you off. You learn about what things don't piss you off. You learn about you learn better decision-making skills. You learn about how to plan properly. You learn so much. You learn communication skills. You learn conflict resolution. You learn limitation. You learn how to set boundaries. You learn so much about yourself. So there's nothing left to lose, only to gain when you go out by yourself in the real world, and when you do the things that you always wanted to do in life, you just do it on your own. And I have an interesting story to tell you. So I went on a trip with a friend from the city of Toronto to Miami, Florida by car. We drove by car, right? So we rented a car and we drove there and we stayed there for about 4 or 5 nights. And I noticed that over the time that I was spending with my buddy, because it was only us two, I noticed that I was starting to get annoyed of him. And he's a very good friend of mine, but the thing is, when you see the same person every day, when you're trying to make plans with another individual every single day, some conflict will arise. And I also noticed that the things that I wanted to do, I couldn't do because he couldn't do those certain things. For example, I wanted to go scuba diving, but he doesn't know how to scuba dive. He could only snorkel, so he did a separate excursion than me, which is fine. But it defeats the purpose of, traveling with buddies and having a good time together. So a lot of those things happen. But when you're by yourself, you are able to do whatever you want, and you're able to make quicker decisions, better decisions, and you're able to have such unique experiences. Don't get me wrong, it can get lonely at times, for sure, when you're by yourself. But the thing is, there's over 7 billion people on this planet. You're bound to meet other people. You are bound to find other people who have similar interests as you. Whenever you solo travel, whenever you go somewhere, whenever you do things by yourself, you will find like-minded people eventually. That is how the world works. That is how the system works. And a lot of places have become solo friendly. Places like Japan and Korea and stuff like that is like an introvert's paradise for a lot of people. There's a lot of entertainment things that are set up in place for people who enjoy to do things solo. You got the hostels, right? Hostels, if you're a solo traveler, that's a perfect place for you to stay instead of staying at a hotel. Because number one, you can meet other people if you want, and number two, you can just go on your own if you want to. You're not obligated to be with these people. So there's so much benefit to doing things on your own and not having to wait on anyone. And sometimes I think, as I get older, I realize that honestly, the pros of being solo, doing things on your own, outweigh the cons, man, of being with groups of people. I've noticed that. I really have noticed that. So, I highly recommend that you take this uncomfortable step and go out there, man. Go out there by yourself. Go to that new town. Go watch that movie in the movie theater. Go to the arcade. Go to Africa for 2 weeks by yourself, and watch how you change, and watch how you grow as a person, and how much life experience you gain when you do these things on your